Hello.
Hey Dhanashri.
Hello. Morning.
Morning, morning. Let me just change the background.
Okay.
Blah 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 blah. Video and effects. Okay. Yes, virtual background.
Good morning.
Morning.
Good morning, Parag.
कैसे हो कौशल? Hi.
We
I'm
can't hear you, Parag. Your volume is very low. Yeah.
yeah. Okay.
How
Thankfully,
about now?
not only me. Yes. Okay.
Yeah.
A little better, but not that great.
Hmm. Let's see. Good morning.
Morning. Priyank would be happy. Everybody else joined before him.
Yeah.
Yeah,
We
he's
need some
excited.
slave driver, otherwise these things will never happen. I'm
Priyank is a
happy
slacker.
I'm happy somebody has that attitude. Otherwise, all these things just get out of control, especially me. Yeah. Okay. So I think this is good. You all can see the inverted image, right?
Yes.
Okay.
Everything is perfect.
Wonderful. Wonderful. Great. So we have a great session planned and we will wait for that. Let me just check my audio, etc. I'm not planning to show any video demo in this call.
Okay.
Okay. So it's going to be a PPT and the same Jupyter workflow and so on. So
Okay.
there have been some good enhancements, to the workflow. Man, it's knowing something is one thing, but preparing it for audience so that they can absorb is completely different.
True. True.
And from next workshop, I'll start deducting marks if all of you have not tried the worksheet beforehand, okay? Google Colab. And then you'll have to contribute $50 each. It's a fine.
Yeah,
That's a
let's find the
yeah. I can
penalty.
hold you to that. I can hold you to that. I know.
I deserve it.
So let's do
Good
that.
morning,
But
Kaushal. Good morning, Parag.
good morning. Good morning.
Morning.
Yeah.
Good morning, Dhanushi.
Morning.
But
Good morning, Piyush.
so Parag, you heard that, right? Three
Good
people have
morning.
contributed, made donations. So
Yeah. I read that. Yeah.
so which is encouraging, I mean, it's not the
Yeah.
amount, it's the intent.
Kent and also, yeah, and they appreciate the
Yeah.
efforts.
So I mean, I'm glad we are in the right direction. I think that's what it tells us, which is good. Okay, so now I have to be, okay, let me just share the screen, make sure everybody sees what
Yeah.
I intend for everybody
Wait,
to see.
I don't think screen sharing would be on for you, so let
Yeah,
me just make you a
yes.
co-host. Conf- Priyanka, I'm making. Do you want me to make you a co-host too?
Yeah, sure, you can.
Okay. Don't
And
let
make
anybody
Piyush
in
as well.
though. Yeah.
Piyush
Piyush,
as
yeah,
well.
Piyush as
Yes.
Yeah.
well.
Don't let anybody. I'm making everybody co-host here, but do not let anybody in, guys.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
you will be in charge.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So
Sure.
there's one guy actually who there are a couple of people who are collaborating with me on Finance Agent actually.
Okay.
So I will tell you the name. One guy's name is Daniel, another is Ramesh and Vibha if they join. Okay.
Okay. I
So
think Piyush knows them, right? Or no?
Piyush knows a couple of them, but not
Okay.
Daniel basically. So
Okay.
Daniel is my future collaborator. Uh,
Okay. Got it.
okay. So now I should be able to share my screen, right? I still do not see that share button.
Alright. How is that possible? 1 second, let me.
Mm.
I see it, so you should be able to see.
You see it, right, Parag?
Yeah, I see it.
Can you try sharing your screen?
Sure.
Host tools, I see.
No, not host tools. You
Oh, yeah,
should
now I
take-
see. Now
You
I
see
see
it,
it.
right?
Yeah.
Okay, cool.
So guys, please, yeah, let me share the entire screen and okay, so they have fixed it finally. Good job. Okay.
Okay.
Now, are you able to see my screen?
Yes.
Okay. Well, let me blow it up and let me see if I can. Yeah, okay, good. I will
Perfect.
keep the sidebar out of this and you see the animation, right?
Yes, we do.
Yeah, okay. Yeah, that's what people should enjoy. Okay, good.
Just when
This will.
sharing, make sure you optimize.
What is that?
You have videos or?
No. You should see right now the opening screen with a little bit of animated GIF.
Yeah.
You see that, right? Okay. Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. So this will keep on the loop until we talk and introduce and so on. So that's fine. Now let me just share a few other slides as well. Okay, this is there. Okay, now yes. Okay. So there's their MCP servers connecting AI to the world. Okay. So session 2 of 3, Advanced AI series, May 30th.
Perfect.
And after that, I come to the agenda slide, the missing piece, RAG to MCP. What is MCP? How MCP works? The flow, RAG plus MCP, know and act, MCP plus 3 building blocks, use cases, and why it matters. Okay. All right. And then I would, okay. So this is,
Priyank,
I have kept
Do you
agent.
have any polls on any of these topics?
No polls. I have not kept polls. So you can keep asking, I think maybe we should have designed that. So I did. Okay. Now okay. That is why they have a presenter view. I can slide through yes. Okay, good. So after this, I go to this one from RAG to MCP. Okay. And then I have these slides. So the missing piece, RAG to MCP. So what does it do and so on, what it doesn't do, right? And then what is MCP, model context protocol, and a standard and origin and all. Okay, and these are
is his
different
voice
types of
breaking?
agent to agent architecture. It is just that 3 building. Is it?
Hey,
I will keep
yeah,
it
it's better.
closer.
Kaushal, I remember
Is
last
it
time when
better now?
you went through your presentation, there was a audio problem that you had.
Okay.
I think it was because you were shifting your computer from one computer to another.
Yeah. But on May 16th,
Okay.
we tested all that. So I did everything from my Mac and there was no issue
Great.
on audio at
I
least.
think this
So
should just be a blip, but please continue.
yeah. Okay. So how MCP works, the flow and so on, right? So we have that. And then this is an example of how it happens. There's again an example, real example of MCP architecture. So how do I? Oh, there's somebody already.
It's a note taker. Let's
Yeah.
not worry about it.
Okay. Yeah. So I have. Okay. So this is kind of real example of MCP architecture and so on. So Piyush, I think this is not the latest example, right? So let me
No.
add that. No. Okay. Let me. Good call. So.
Hey, Dhanashri, the recording already started? I see something
All of our
recorded.
sessions are automatically recorded from start to end, and then I clip it.
Good.
I,
And then do we have space on Zoom? Otherwise, we will have to
we
hunt
have
for
space
the
on.
video.
We do.
And then this will be the Jupyter notebook that I'll be taking people through. Okay. All right. You can see all that,
Yeah.
right? Okay.
Flows really well. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Maybe is it possible to make it a little bit bigger?
Which one? The notebook?
The page that you're showing right now. Zoom in. Is it possible?
You
Zoom in. No, that's it.
no.
There'll be a
You can actually
problem.
zoom, not
Okay.
zoom into the zoom. Then you can scroll, like scroll middle mouse, increase the font of the web page.
Okay. Let me just show you first of all the diagrams, and then this is a yeah, okay. Yeah, okay. So this is a MCP server mini lab, and these are some of the diagrams that I'll be showing as part of the new exercise. Okay. And so on. And then this is what we'll be building. And
Should I let people in?
No, not yet.
Not yet.
We have 2 more minutes.
Yeah.
We'll invite exactly at 9.
Okay. So this
Unless
is
there
what
is a person who
yeah.
Kaushal was waiting, then it's fine.
Who is it?
It's okay. It's okay.
Right now we have Jaspal Singh and Anil. I don't know if they are.
No, they're not. Okay, so this is all that I would be showing. I'll see if I can zoom in. It's probably a little late to try and do that. If it
No,
happens,
if you want to zoom in, just
Control.
are you on a PC?
Control.
Control middle mouse.
Yeah.
Go on the web page.
Which
Control
one?
middle mouse. Control middle mouse. Scroll and just move it. You see the screen font.
Okay, I'm trying that. The control is
Press control middle mouse.
नहीं हो रहा नहीं हो
It's
रहा.
okay. It's okay.
Yeah.
Parag, let it be. It's
Yeah,
okay.
let it be. Otherwise,
That's fine. If people can. Yeah.
not at the last moment. Okay, guys. Sorry about that. So that's it. So that's what I'll be showing. Okay.
Okay.
Image.
Why MCP
can-
changes everything, hands-on demo, and I do have to finish by 10:30, so we'll start on time, finish on time. Okay.
Okay. I'm just letting
So
people
9
in.
o'clock. Yes.
Yeah. So let me stop the sharing of the screen. Actually.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you need to replace the dialogue, right? Yeah.
That's what I'm trying to see. Just
You need
kill
to
my
stop.
sharing.
Yeah, we can still see your. I'll just.
Just hold on.
Okay.
I'm trying to fix this one. Another. So copy.
People can't see your message right now, Priyank.
Can you invite everyone, please?
Okay.
At 9 o'clock.
But they can see. They will see the screen, right? We don't.
No,
want
just hold on. Just give me a second.
Danishri, I think you should admit everyone now.
Why? Oh, yeah. Okay. Yes. Okay. Yeah. Now you can.
I can. Thank you.
Hello.
Good morning, folks.
Hey,
Okay.
good morning, Tushar.
We have celebrities also here. Good.
Yeah, exactly.
Mm.
You mean to say the
Good morning.
presenters, right?
What is that?
You mean to say the presenters, right? Hey, Priyank.
Hey, good morning, Tushar.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Good
man.
to see you here. Thank you. Thank you for the support always.
Absolutely. Hi, Parag.
Good morning. Good to see you.
Morning. Looks like you guys had a lot of fun in the Pan IT event, huh?
Yeah. Why you didn't show up? We were
I
missing
could
you.
not. Weekdays are a little bit tough, man.
Oh, okay.
Weekdays are a little bit tough.
No problem, sir. It's all fine. But it was great fun. I mean, we didn't expect it to be so entertaining and so much fun. at the same
Yeah,
time.
I heard the entertainment component was more than the panel component, but that's great.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, you'd pay so much price just for entertainment and the keynote
Uh,
speakers. And everybody, people like Rajat Gupta and all were there. So
yes,
obviously it was
yeah.
all high
And,
powered,
so
deserving of
the
IIT name, I guess.
yeah, the point is the conference was happening in Hollywood, so entertainment had to be there.
Mm.
No doubt about that.
Entertainment was top class. Yeah. Okay, so welcome everyone. We'll get started. We'll just give a few minutes, 2 more minutes, and we'll start at 9:05. Meanwhile, feel free to put in the chat where are you all from dialing in, So I know some of you from past. So what is the place? Where are you joining this workshop? Or if you could just put your name, which IIT you are from, and if you're not from IIT, any other institute also, and which place are you dialing from? Anybody from India? I heard there were some registrations from India. And that's why we try to keep this call a little early. If it's all US based, maybe, next time we can try a little later also.
So
Okay.
far, it's Southern California, and of course,
It's
Tushar
all,
from North
yeah.
Carolina.
Yeah, it's all, yeah, that's great. Great. So I think we should expand our reach because whatever we are discussing and showing has appealed to everybody, It's a,
Yeah, I did not see much. I mean, I got emails from you guys. You guys never posted on the AIML forum and stuff like that this time. I never heard that, never saw that.
okay.
Feel free to don't post there.
Yeah, we need to probably let others also know. Okay, so I think in the interest of time, let's get started.
Okay, cool.
Shri. Yeah.
I'll get started.
Mhm.
So, hello everyone and welcome back. My name is Dhanashri, and on behalf of IIT Alumni Association of Southern California, I'm excited to welcome you to the second session of the Agentic AI series, working with MCP servers. So, in our last session, which was the first session of the three-part series, we explored how AI systems are evolving beyond just single prompt into like an coordinated architectures which can work parallelly to complete a very complex task. But that naturally leads to the next question. Once you build an agent or once you build an architecture of agent, how does it actually operate inside a real environment? How does it access the tools that you generally use? And that's exactly what we are diving in today. In session one was all about how agentic systems think. But in session two, we'll see how they connect, operate, talk, and scale. So before we begin, for anybody who is joining us for the first time, the event is hosted by IIT Alumni Association of Southern California, and it's a network of 3,000 plus alumni across all IITs. We host events across AI, entrepreneurship, investing, technology, innovation, all guided in practical principles thinking and real world execution. Some of our events include, some of our upcoming events include, annual summer picnic, which we are having on June 14th in Cerritos. We would love if you could join us. And the third part of the Agentic AI series, which is vibe coding, Claude and Cursor. And we encourage everybody to, keep updated about the upcoming events by following us on our LinkedIn page. And a quick housekeeping rules before we start. So this session is going to be recorded and will be shared on our YouTube channel. So please try to stay muted during the session and use the Q&As. Like we would love for you to ask as many questions as possible. So use the Q&A section of the chat, and Kaushal and Parag will answer all of your questions at the end. So with that, given that we have an exceptional session ahead, I'll I'll give it over to you, Kaushal.
Yeah, thank you so much. And I, of course, want to thank all the organizers here and co-hosts, as well as, the panel here we have. And Priyank Saxena is here. And in the background, there's a lot of work that goes on, actually. So to make this happen so that I can focus on building the session, have it tested, and make it ready for a large audience without any hiccups. But even then, sometimes glitches happen, as we saw last time. Hopefully, they'll not happen again. And I have here our distinguished panelist, Tushar Kant, as well from the Bay Area. And he himself conducts several exciting sessions, which I look forward to personally. And if there is a plug, Tushar, feel free to,
Yeah, we
I'll
have
give
an
you some
event
time.
coming up on June 21st, 9
Mhm.
o'clock. I'll share it with Priyank and Kaushal and Dhananjay. You guys can share it with the folks, which
Yes.
is more about how VCs make funding decisions. No
Yeah,
matter
yeah,
which area you're doing that. So
yeah, yeah.
love for you
And
guys to come. Thank you.
yes, and I remember last session was on, how to crack interviews or how to, position yourself at director level, especially in IT field, etc. So we are enabling it, from SoCal side, and Tushar is helping you get the interview. Probably we should have a session on getting you the appointment letter also.
Absolutely. How to negotiate your offers.
Yeah, yes, exactly. So we are trying, of course, this is all volunteer driven. So none of us, benefit from this. This is all volunteer driven. It is our passion to help and give back to the community, that drives us. And there's a lot of effort in the background that happens. And we ourselves are gradually learning, how we improve from one session to another and how you can be benefited. So IIT has a lot of talent. We all know that, and that is something we should be proud of. And it's not only IITs, everybody, who has made effort, is invited to contribute and so on. So this is, although it is called an IT forum, it is kind of a magnet, so to say, to have all the talents pool in and distribute the knowledge, distribute the good work, and so on. There is an upheaval because of AI. Everybody knows that, and more so I do because I'm in the thick of the things. And happy to transmit that message and in a way that you can benefit from. So that's with that background. Let me share my screen and start the session today. We have Parag as well, Parag Havildar. So if you've seen, he is my co-host. He will be answering question, and then I have Piyush Soni. So he's from my team. He has contributed to preparing the slides, preparing the architecture, and also the notebook, etc. So all those things. So there are a lot of knowledgeable people on the panel itself, but that doesn't mean there aren't in the audience also. So if you have joined, if you can clarify certain questions, feel free, ask as many questions as we do, as you want. And we do have a lot of practical experience, which means the things that we are going to communicate to you are the things that enterprises are looking for, implementing, and are in production. So all of that together. So which means whatever comes to you is probably hot from the oven, so to say. Okay, so there is nothing theoretical only attribute to it. There will be some theory, but there are a lot of practical aspects to all of the things that we're going to share. With that, let me start. Okay. All right, so hopefully can everyone see my screen, and you should be able to see a dynamic GIF. Dhanshri, can you confirm, please?
Yes.
Yes? Okay. All right. Okay. Wonderful. So let's begin our session. Welcome again, everybody. My name is Kaushal Misra. I also go by Ken. You might have seen my LinkedIn profile. I've been in AI for the last 10 years. Before that, had the opportunity to work with great companies, Asian Paints in India, Infosys for 10 years, Microsoft as CTO for US West for 3 years, and now heading data and AI aspect in several capacities. I partner with several firms and so on and so forth. So quantum integrators, with quantum integrators, I have executed several large projects also. So let's begin. We are trying to cover now. I hope everybody has seen my previous, the expectation for this session is that you have probably seen the first one, which was introduction to AI, and definitely seen the last one, which was agentic AI with RAG. Okay, so because that familiarity will be assumed, I will try to go through very basic slides just to revise the previous session. But this session is going to be focused on a little bit advancement and try to build on that same concept, MCP servers. So these together, RAG, Agentic AI framework, and MCP, they complete the implementation. Of course, real life implementation requires so many other things to utilize them into production. You have to build, production pipelines, data connectors, and whole observability aspect, the control plane aspect. Some of those concepts I covered briefly in last session as well. What are we going to cover today? We are going to talk about the missing piece, RAG to MCP. So that is going to be a natural progression as far as AI is concerned, core AI part is concerned. So everything else beyond this actually follows pretty much, the software methodology of putting a software into production, for organizations. So that's not going to be in the scope, but if you are familiar with it, you can assume that, once you have implemented these kind of architectures, then you, like any software into production, you have to, take them through security check, architectural review, and build observability on top of it so that over time how they are performing, something needs to change, what is the feedback, and so on and so forth. AI ops is a little bit different. Probably it can be a separate class by itself, separate session by itself. But once you understand these core concepts, other things are probably, in my opinion, simpler to apply. Okay, they are tedious, but conceptually, they are not as involved, and people have known them, for a long time. So what is MCP? We'll get into that, how MCP works, what is the flow, RAG and MCP, know and act, and MCP, the building blocks, use cases, and we'll also have an exercise in Google Colab. So I intend to spend half an hour to 45 minutes there going through the exercise, the concepts, and how you can experience it. If you have got the new finance.zip as well as the Jupyter notebook, you would have some advancement from the last time when we showed the finance agent. We are also on the background trying to build more capabilities to it. I will talk about that when I come to the session. So we are trying to make it to a level where it can really be your financial advisor by the end of session 3, actually. So, and much more than advisor, you can actually upload your document, it'll scrub all the PIIs, and it'll be a reliable agent to help you answer and plan not only your finances but also your also your tax, etc., right, if you choose to. So something that I do manually myself and would love to have those kind of capabilities. And that's the intent, that in the end, not only you go through the concepts, but also you have something fruitful that tells you that, yes, AI has some utility in real life. Okay. With that, this was the previous session, so we are not covering this one, but I will show you a little bit of what we covered last time before jumping into the MCP server, etc. Okay, so this is how the agentic AI works. If you remember very briefly, user provides a high-level task, and AI agents reason and decide the next step, and then they call tools, APIs, databases needed. This is something that all the agents need, actually, and that is where you start building something called RAG, something called MCP, and so on, and loops until the task is completed. Okay. So with that, we also saw that agents have different kind of hierarchies. So mostly for examples like this or for classes like these, you would have hierarchical agent, whereas there is single supervisor agent with multiple sub agents and so on. But in theory and in practice, there are a lot of other possibilities, as you can see here. So I will not go through all of them. This is very briefly different layers of agentic AI essentially. So this probably looks a lot more complicated, and implementations in real life are complicated, but this probably makes it looks like even impossible, but it is not. So it is quite fun, and if you go through each element, you need to build, by the way, none of these are impractical in the sense they are needed for enterprises, if they want to use AI in reality. Okay. Now I will go through. So what did we do last time? We had for agent financial assistant. We used Google AI Studio and Colab. So hopefully you have set up your Google Colab environment with Google keys. Okay, two of the Google keys. One of them is Gemini, so which will help you reason and access the LLM actually, and then create an agent that thinks and acts, see reasoning and output. So this is what we did last time. Okay. Now, what we did was we also looked at what were the and what were the differences from LLM chatbot, which I guess everybody uses these days on a daily basis, and agentic AI architecture. So this is important to keep in mind as a refresher. So context awareness, you can obviously upload files. It'll be single prompt, and these days, if you have subscription to ChatGPT or Claude, you will find that they have the project concept in which they do remember, as far as project memory is concerned. You also have different projects, they have the capability to go through those and so on. So they're quite useful as far as one-on-one interaction is concerned. But where you have multi-step reasoning with very specialized tasks, especially if they concern an enterprise, you cannot have that. Okay, so that only works in one-to-one interaction. And that is where the big difference of AI comes, which is very poorly understood even in today's world. So people try Claude, etc., which is good for one-on-one, but they fail to understand that your expertise is only limited on one-on-one interaction. It is not going to make you an expert in enterprise context. That requires very different skills. And I see that kind of misunderstanding even with people who are not in AI business, even at senior levels. They think, they have cracked, they understand now everything. And unfortunately, that is not true. Okay. We saw the demo of agentic AI in action and so on, right? So we saw that, and then we saw different versions of platforms of AI, and we saw what are the different kind of automations, and why do we have human in the loop. Okay, so we have products. When we develop products, they have several components to it. Okay, and that is why we are considering or talking about MCP, because that becomes a very important part of integration and collaboration here. So product, when you develop an AI product, it has AI driven automation, of course, at different steps, depending on the necessity. Not every part is, amenable to AI implementation. So some parts will be, just pure simple automation, rule based, 100%, deterministic. Some parts will not be. Some parts will require natural language interface, and that is where the biggest benefit of AI comes. But it has to sit and integrate with a lot more other things in the background, so that you can utilize tools. You have access to very specialized agents, APIs, and apps in the background. Human in the loop validation is something, that is why you have the whole process set up. Compliance and governance for enterprises is very important, without which nothing gets passed actually. And these days, we might have heard, a large company, withdrew the subscription of Claude code because it was the cost for running so high, and that is a company with a lot of budget and so on, and money in the bank, etc. So it is definitely a big concern. Scalability and flexibility. So this is where MCP is mentioned, built with distributed processing protocol. We also, I mean, this is our company, but in general, what you need to see is scalability and flexibility, etc., is very important as you build these agents. Okay. Now so these are typically high level features of a product that you develop. Now let's come down to the topic at hand. So from RAG to MCP, let's move on. What is MCP? So you heard about RAG. So what we did last time was we looked at different documentation, and these documents, you can assume them to be organization wide, and they can go up to terabytes or gigabytes, hundreds of gigabytes, and so on and so forth. For AI to work and retrieve and be intelligent about that repository is essential. So you have three options. You can either LLMs are going to be aware of general reasoning, whatever is available in the frontier model, which are trained on public data. They're not going to be aware of organization specific data, and that's why you have RAG. And then once you have RAG, it embeds, there's something called chunking, embedding, etc. that happens, and eventually you store everything in vector store. And in the example that we covered last time, you could very well see that there is ChromaDB vector store. It has roughly 340 chunks. And all those chunks are then based on the documents. Even though you uploaded handful of documents, they all translated together into a mush called, embeddings, and those are what stored in vector database, and then you can query those. Okay, so that is the same process that happens in complicated RAG, etc. as well, and that is the basic concept. And then you can relevant chunks are retrieved based on what you want to do, and you do the analysis. LLM polishes that and then presents to you as an intelligent answer. So that's, and for all that intelligence to come, you need access to one of the frontier models. Smaller models don't do so well. So that's why you need that LLM layer, and which is where Cloud Code and ChatGPT, Gemini, etc. come into picture. Now APIs, I mean, you can ideally ground, but RAGs are not responsible for live data. You need to integrate them, build some grounding action either through code or some agent, etc. But by themselves, RAG is useful for just chunking and making available all the enterprise level data sets. Now comes the MCP. MCP is this is Model Context Protocol. So this is a protocol, but it is a term coined by Anthropic back in 2024. This is the part of agent to agent architecture, but now this has become so common that people talk about agent to agent communication through MCP. And all this was based on the need that, first you needed organization context. So RAG came into the picture. And then came the need that when the agents started to proliferate, then you came to the realization that they also need access to various tools, and different agents need access to some of the tools, maybe across the board, or many of them need, let's say, three or four tools all the time, and then there are specialized tools and so on. So how do you build? You could build always in many to many fashion, which means you could duplicate all the tools. So, and then you have web access, you have APIs, etc. And how do you control all the tools separately so that you restrict access to all of them in a manner that you want for an enterprise? So live web and APIs access, how do you control, how do you build those access, database and files, query real life systems, code execution, tools, scripts on demand. So these could be programs, these could be servers that you've built before GenAI era. All those things could be used thanks to MCP. Now, actions and results, write, send, trigger, and transforms whatever you have built. So MCP, typically in organizations is, works alongside RAG models. So any organizational implementation will always have RAG, although it's not necessary, but practically, it is going to be there for everybody. So what is MCP? MCP was in 2024. It is a very general phrase that is used to explain MCP. It is USB-C for AI, which means you plug it, you get access to external components and so on. USB, you can operate your laptop actually even without USB-C port connected to various outlets. But in case of organizations, MCP is a necessity. And what it does is standardizes how AI connects to the world. So any model with any tool, all of them need to go through the MCP. Okay. So these are different kinds of, agent to agent protocol and Anthropic. Any questions? Okay. Okay. So MCP was coined by Anthropic, but it caught on. But there were different terms, and now I think everybody refers to them as MCP. So you might hear, but agent to agent is a generic term, which is what MCP is for. So how agents communicate with other agents is what MCP enables. So although names could be different for different organization, but this is what it means. So what you have in MCP, the way there are three components always. So you would hear these terms. There is host, the AI application. It could be your desktop, your custom app, or any IDE plugin, initiates request and displays results to the user. So that is the host. Typically, you will have that. And then there will be a client which will connect, that is called also the MCP connector. So embedded inside the host speaks the MCP protocol, discovers tool, and we'll see that in the coding also in the example that we see. And then there is a server actually, which we will do in the exercise. We will set up a server. Once set up, server will start running and it will fetch a query from internet and will give you the result. Okay. So exposes tools and resources, files, database, APIs, web search, code runners, etc. So the beauty is that it avoids duplication. So although it adds a little bit of latency, but latency is something you cannot avoid in AI world. So it's never going to be the browser kind of response. So there will be some latency, but with that latency comes the benefit of consolidation of access to all your tools. So let's say in an organization there is 3-5 different proprietary program, let's say optimization. Your company is about optimization of something, some kind of a logic. And they also need access to 5 different web sites actually, where you have paid money to have those kind of specialized knowledge, let's say. So 3 of those and 5 of your tools, let's say, internal programs, etc., which you have developed an IP for, and all these 8 components put together need to be accessed by different agents in the in organization. And how many agents can that be? I heard in one of the presentation that Capital One apparently has 10,000 plus agents in an enterprise. So imagine if everybody in every department, unaware of what is happening in other departments, was trying to duplicate what you have in terms of 8 core blocks of your organization. That could very easily become, let's say, out of only half of them needed these 8 blocks, building blocks of organization, because that's the core strength. that would become 5,000 times 8 duplication, which is 40,000 duplications unnecessarily. With MCP, what you would have is you would have 5,000 agents by, let's say, 7 different departments or so,
Yeah, what is it?
trying to access through
And
MCP
HTTP.
server. That. Okay.
Yeah.
Somebody's not on mute, I believe, or you have a question. Okay. So that's the beauty of MCP server. MCP server hosts and controls the access. So all of them go through MCP server depending on the authority, depending on the authorization, they will access those tools. So you avoid, that is the biggest benefit of MCP server. Now, how does it work? So you search MCP server, let's say pricing for H100 GPUs, LLM reasoning decides to call tool. So LLM reasoning will decide whether it needs a particular tool or not. So in that example that I told you, 5 tools and 3 paid web access or proprietary web access for the organization, it'll decide which one it needs. And then it'll tell client that, okay, this is what I need from you. So instead of building everything in the Agentic AI flow, you refer to the MCP client, and MCP client then serves, depending on the validation of the call, it tells the server that, okay, this is what is needed. Please furnish, out of 5 tools, 3 tools for this particular LLM reasoning, and user wants that, they are authorized to access it, and one maybe web searches and all that. Yeah, MCP server says, yeah, fine. If you're a client, if you are good with it, I'm going to serve you a request from that or give you access, to that. So then they fetch the answer, and ultimately you get the well-constructed answer with the utilization of all those tools. Okay. So with that, this is how typically when we developed our solutions actually, and when we were developing, MCP was just coming in vogue actually. So we were developing something called infra agent, and it was slow. Infra agent was trying to access so many of tools by itself, and that process was slow. That process was repetitive, and so on. After we implemented, this is the real use case. So everything went. Then we developed several other agents, also several other agentic processes here. So each one of the blocks on the top is actually a process, and fairly involved process. So they all now started accessing the MCP server and could access the same tool which were being used in most of these agentic processes, and then some, which means they had their own components also. This is how it looks like, for example, in enterprises. These are the real example. Without MCP, what you will have is customer asks a question. You have billing agent, order agent, knowledge agent, for example, and each one of them is trying to go to billing, database, order system, a document store, and so on. So you see it's a spaghetti actually. So what is the pain? Pain is each new tool rebuild connectors for every agent, right? Security permissions scattered everywhere, and therefore it is going to be risky also and leaky. Brittle, one change breaks many links, slow, costly, and difficult to maintain at enterprise level. Now with MCP, the same thing is actually highly simplified. And imagine this is just for 3 different agents. What if you have big organizations? Very likely, if they do not already have, will likely have this year or next year thousands of agents. Okay, and complexity can be, this mesh can be really messy. In case of MCP server, you connect first here, and then it directs, depending on the authorization and access, which one is needed where. Okay, so this could be returned here, could go here, could go here, could go here, right? So that's what. Add a new tool once, every agent can use it instantly. Security and permissions managed in one trusted place, swap or upgrade. So yes, while you can think of MCP as a server that serves, but it is kind of, it has several components, and why it is needed and what does it do is important to understand in the overall context of AI. Okay. In the end, it is just a server, like you have so many other servers shared shared servers basically, which have common themes across the organization put in one place so that everybody can access. But this has a lot more layers to it, and it is a separate concept in AI space. That's why we are mentioning it. There's again an example of how you have different agents. They talk to the MCP server, and then RAG tools. They in turn RAG tools are accessed by RAG manager agent, and so this is the client layer. This is the server layer. Just different examples from real life. This is again one of the real life examples. What is okay? So now RAG and MCP, they are not competitors. They work together. So you should have now understood at least. We need in RAG, what do you need to know is it's a semantic search over your private documents. It answers grounded in company knowledge base versus public knowledge that is part of the LLMs. Reduces hallucination with cited context, works on static pre-embedded content. MCP, they call live APIs, database, web search, your tools, servers, whatever you built in past actually is accessible. Executes code, triggers, workflows, sends data. Very good example here would be, for example, you have a lot of queries in your organization, a lot of views, a lot of databases, a lot of transactions, etc. So potentially you could use them here collectively as well. So if somebody wants a particular view or search, etc., you could go to MCP and serve there instead of trying to rewrite those kind of components. Okay. Reads and writes to external systems in real life and works on dynamic on-demand tools execution. So you can change actually, if you have a new tool or capability, you could potentially add to MCP server and they would be available instantly to everybody, right? Instead to all the agents, they could just change their logic as needed, there could be different. So you have a marketplace concept also where you could expose new capabilities. You could say something, this is coming up in 3 months, this will be live, and agents can start using it and so on. You could change the configuration of agent accordingly. So all those things can happen. All right, MCP. So what are the use cases? So you have for web search, you could use any of these, Tavily, Brave, Google, DuckDuckGo, and so on, right? So databases, all these things could be also used, file systems. So there are a lot of MCP servers already available. You could get those these days. Claude and GitHub also. I've seen in Claude actually, so they will help you configure, MCP server right away. Different kind of MCP servers, they can plug into your agents and so on. So you could create on one-on-one interaction also some of these servers, by the way. So why MCP? Just to summarize, it launched in this November 24 by Anthropic. You have a lot of open source MCP servers you could take. You could download from GitHub, make sure that they are from secure sources, and you could one protocol that can work with all kinds of LLMs. And once you build it, it can be always reused, and you can update it for different projects, different agents, different teams in your organization. So now we will jump on to the demo. What are we going to do is we are going to do a setup. We are going to define, tools. We'll web search. We don't have calculator, a little bit of it, but you will see an MCP server being set up as part of this process. You could potentially connect it to your desktop also if you have. We are going to do it only with Colab, and then we will, you could extend it for Claude. I developed it for Claude first, but you could use it for any other configuration that you have. So I will pause while I pull up my other screen. Any questions that potentially could be answered? So let's have Q&A for next 4-5 minutes before I start the Google Colab exercise. Okay.
There are two questions in the Q&A section. one by Dr. Sudhir. He was asking, would you be discussing how A to A fits into the architecture?
Okay. So this is all agent to agent architecture. So how agents communicate with one another. So that is what we have discussed. How agents, I mean, if your question is how agents are accessing different tools, that is what we have covered here. But as part of this presentation, we are not planning to cover how agents communicate with other agents. So that is left, as I said, at the beginning, this is a simple setup. We only have the hierarchical setup of supervisor controlling all the agents separately. When one agent is allowed to interact with other agents, that becomes kind of complicated. So we are not covering that as part of this exercise. We have for customers also, we have tried hierarchical approach, but you could have, for example, a critique agent which will interact with other agent to critique the work that they have produced and in the end be able to tell you the output, etc. So all that is possible, frequently used also, but as part of this exercise, we are not covering, unfortunately. But it's not very difficult to build if you choose. But the only thing is, there are two things that you need to build. Is one is that you set the guardrails, very importantly, to say what one agent can do and what it should not do. You specify that very clearly. The other is that they should not go into infinite loop. Okay, so if you are allowing two agents to communicate, you have to have a breaker in terms of only after three conversations stop. Okay, if you have three cycles at the max, then stop. So these two things, if you have, then agent to agent communication actually can work reasonably well. Yeah. Any other question?
Yeah. Second question is from Jaspal Singh. I see that he has added another question.
Mhm.
He
Yeah.
said, would you be able to see it or should I just read it?
Read it, please, if you
Okay.
can
He
summarize
said
that.
that he read somewhere that RAG capability can be accessed as a tool to be accessed via MCP servers. Do you see that happening in the industry?
Okay. I mean, you can potentially, have a tool that searches your RAG database and gives you the output out of that. Potentially, you can have it. Yes, why not? I mean, that RAG component itself becomes a serving, which MCP server can handle potentially. But no, I have not. I mean, organizations typically have their own RAG and then they will utilize different tools for agents to access along with RAG, actually. So that is a more common pattern I have seen. But maybe Tushar and others, Parag, if you have seen in your organization such a setup, you can comment. But potentially it's possible. I mean, conceptually, it's doable, I would say.
Basically, having both RAG and MCP is what you mean?
He meant that RAG being served as a tool through MCP to another agent.
I mean, yes, but step back and think through this, right?
Yeah.
RAG essentially provides you additional information from your own organization, and it's a concept which is independent of MCP. Let's put it this way. So you basically use that to create a basic framework. Now, MCP is typically used when you have standalone tools that you want to basically use as part of your overall solution. So RAG is more of a infrastructure of your product. MCP basically helps you connect to the tools. That's the way we typically look at it. But that's the way we have typically seen that in the industry.
Yeah. Yeah. But there could be, for example, let's say if you have HR a RAG, which is built, which is needed as which needs to be served to other organization in a limited fashion, and you don't want to expose for security
Quite
reasons.
possible. Quite
Right?
possible.
Yeah, yeah. So it's theoretically it's possible, but that's quite convoluted, frankly, to me, but not a very common, pattern that we see. So, okay. So let's get started. So I believe we may want to see from the beginning itself. Okay, so hopefully everybody has, let me get started here. Everybody has this notebook open, May 30th, collab version 3. Okay, So if you have it open, if not, you can always open it through File, Open Notebook. It'll, I'm not going to do it, but you could go to Upload. It'll ask you to browse to where you have stored. And once you browse and click it, it'll open and create an environment like this. Okay, so once you open it, you'll not be able to upload anything here yet. So you will see a screen like this. Okay, and you will see something like on the right, you will see it connecting. So it is trying to spin up a virtual environment in which you can operate. And this is a temporary environment. So it'll give you a warning that, whatever you do here, if you don't save it, it's going to be lost once this whole connection goes away. So be mindful of that. So you should not do any work that needs to persist. And if it needs to persist, then you need to take care of it and download it once it is computed or made available to you in terms of an output. Okay. So with that, let me start. So once you are in that screen, I'll give a couple of minutes for people to upload if they have not, so that they can walk through with me. And you will have this connecting. This takes about a minute to connect and spin up essentially. I believe, yeah. So if you put your cursor on top here, it'll tell you what is it actually. So it tells you that Google has very generously, and I'm really thankful because no other company does it. So Google, just because you have a Google login, it makes you available a RAM size of 12 GB and a disk space of 100 GB available to you. Even though it is temporary, it allows you to at least have an experience like this, without spending any money. So what it has is, you can see a RAM of 1.34 GB because we have not started anything. If you start, let's say, doing chunking, etc., and inferencing and server, the consumption will go up. Right now, it is using 20 GB out of 107 GB that it has, probably 120, etc., earmarked, for this one. So you have this. This is the engine backend. Now, if this is connected and you have this, this Jupyter notebook available, you're going to the left side and click on this one, this folder, second from last, which is files section. Okay. And I also had request that I should expand this. Let me see if I can zoom in. Okay. So if you have it open on your second screen while you are following through the presentation, that would be the best idea. So once you have this connected and you have clicked here on the folder, you would see something like this. Okay, you would see sample data. Okay, so sample data has readme, blah, blah, blah. So we are not going to use this. Okay, we are going to use our own sample data, so which is upload to session storage. Okay, so we have this particular icon. You under files, you will see this upload. I'm deliberately going slow because I know a lot of people are trying to follow, so they have enough time. If you click this, it'll open up your desktop folder, and hopefully the file that was shared with you was finance_assistant.zip. Okay. So this is the file that you need to upload. It is a very small file, so it should not be time consuming. So it gives you a warning, says that ensure that your files are saved elsewhere, terminated. That's what I told you. So you say, okay. Okay. Once you give OK, it immediately uploaded it. It is quite fast. Okay. It is a zip file, so it is not yet unzipped. And our first cell does exactly that. Okay. Let me see if I can. Okay. All right. Okay. So once you are here at this spot, let me see by show of thumbs up sign, you can say that you're following me and you are at this stage. Dhanshri, are we seeing?
Yes, we saw
Yeah, we
a
saw a
lot of
few.
people thumbs up, but
Okay. All right. Any question if anybody has, probably they can put in the chat and Piyush here and Parag and
We received one question from Jaspal. He's saying my notebook code is different than Kaushals.
Okay, then the file probably which you have is different. So you should have this May 30th, 2026 collab version 3.
Let's see, where did I put it?
we've shared it over the chat,
Yeah.
over the email. Let me share it again in the chat with everybody.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So I have here
Hi, this
Finance
is
Assistant, May 30, 2026, collab version 3.ipynb. Is that the one?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, so that one is in the Google Drive.
Yeah.
If you see the link, Jaspal, just above your comment, you will see two links. Please go ahead and download them, okay?
Yeah. And that's the only file I shared, so I don't.
I suggest that we only share some of this like one time because I mean now I see that the same file has been shared 5 times, and I downloaded 2 separate ones, and I thought they were both the same, but actually the code in mine is different than the code in Kaushals. So I'm not sure. So maybe we just share it one time with the whole group.
Yeah. If this says collab version 3, I have not changed anything in this. So this ought to be the same. I have not changed anything. That's why it is versioned as well. Collab version 3.
Yeah,
so anyway,
all files said collab version 3, but yeah,
okay.
I don't know why
So
my
they may
code is
have
different, but
different
I'll try
sources.
again. Thank
But if you are, so obviously what you can do, of course, is there will be a recording made available to you. You can follow it at your leisure. Okay. So you can do that. I'm going slow. So what I do, once you have this zip file, this code essentially unzips it. Okay. Nothing big. So I will. Okay. So this is trying to unzip it. Okay. So this is ready. If you give it just a minute, all the unzipped files and folder structure will show up here. Okay. If not, you can always refresh it. This refresh button here will show, but it will show automatically. I don't want to force it. Sorry. Okay. Wait. What did I do? Okay. Yeah. Sorry. Here. This is the first cell. Apologies. I thought that was the first cell. So we are on the top. So we are on the top, and this is this part actually. Markdown, unzip, session bundle. Okay. And you can run it, rerun it. Most of the code is, foolproof in the sense, even if you were to run it and make mistakes, they will be able to. If you refresh it here, it'll show up. Otherwise, also it'll show up after a few minutes, after a few seconds, actually. Now, next is this is something that we have already covered. So I will just quickly breeze through it. Building a RAG multi-agent system and MCP tool. So we explained this last time actually. So this creates this folder among others, general insurance, portfolio, and tax, etc. What we have now done is if you have your data, it'll do the PII scrubbing before putting this in ChromaDB, which is the RAG store actually, which is what I explained in the presentation. So before it puts here and somebody else can query it, although this is a very safe environment, Google Colab, frankly, it is tied to your login. So unless somebody gets access to your Gmail, literally they cannot peek through it. Okay, so they have the same. If you have document in your laptop or on your computer, it has the same security level as your laptop. If somebody can access your laptop, then only they can access here. So to that extent, it is safe. But since the data will be sent through LLM, it is important that whatever comes to embedded and chunking, is scrubbed of your personally identifiable information, which is called PII, which means your social security, your name, date of birth, and so on and so forth. And especially if it relates to poor finance document, potentially these could contain that information. So this time when you run this particular file, it will try to scrub all the information which is particular to you and only general information. So this is what private documents, and then you create a RAG layer, and then you have some tools. So these are the tools that we'll try to put later into MCP server and see if multiple agents, as agents proliferate, you can access these tools through MCP server versus building them into the agents. That's the demo that we'll have. Agent hierarchy, you have one orchestrator agent and you have three sub-agents: portfolio analyst, tax advisor, insurance specialist. And slowly things will become real, in the sense they are becoming useful also to you. So we have done this major upgrade. So if you were to upload documents here, whatever comes and is exposed to public LLM is scrubbed of any PII. However, I have researched this. If you want to scrub of PII, the surest way is that you have Adobe Acrobat or PDF X editor, which is what I have actually. It costs about $80 or so. And you can scrub and check that your document is scrubbed properly if you want to be 100% sure. Agents may be, may scrub, may not scrub fully. So they are kind of there. It's up to you. So it's your responsibility actually. So you have to make sure that they are already there. So this is nothing but the diagram that we had from last time. This was the workshop. We indexed, we scoped tools, agents, and we created chat UI. And now we will create the MCP server. Environment setup. So this, let's go and this, we will have to run the dependencies and install it here. So this is important. It is trying to install every file that you have. And in the end, you may notice, which was not there last time, is the MCP. Okay. So you have MCP also being installed here. Okay. Now that has been installed. Let's move on. Let's run this one. So I'm running it through this way, but in every notebook, you always have the option of running them by pressing Shift and Enter also. So that's a productivity tip. Typically, the coders run it that way when they have to test a lot of bunch of codes, cell by cell, block by block, etc. That's how they build. So verify. So it says all dependencies installed successfully. Okay, here. And now next we come to sorry. So now it says does not have secret access. So let's grant it secret access. On the left side, and purposely I did not do from the beginning. So I have three secrets. If you have seen the preparation last time, also we did the same. Gemini and Google keys. I'm pressing them on here. So either you do that or you and then we close this panel. So access is granted. And I'm opening this again, right? So okay, all right. Okay, somehow it is not able to take. I have to run this again, please. Let me refresh this environment. Alt. Obviously, this worked till yesterday. Okay, so something seems to have broken. I may have to start it again.
Kaushal, I copy pasted my Gemini key, then it worked.
Yeah. Okay, that's fine. Okay, this is not advisable, but this is what we are going to do. Get Google key and so on. Google API key. Piyush, do you see it running? Can you see it running, please?
Yes, I'm checking it just once.
Yeah.
It prompted you for the key and the input box, and you kind of went over that. So if you paste it in the input box, it will run.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then I'm trying to do this here.
So
and it is.
turn off the notebook access of the keys, and then it will prompt you.
Okay. Let me do this.
Just restart the session once.
Yeah. Okay. Cancel and maybe connect. All right. Let me just restart. Otherwise, I'll restart the whole thing. Okay. So that will work. Okay. Well, Google Colab. Okay, so we get to see it from the beginning. All right, so it's upload, browser, and we see this version 3. Okay, and then we go here. We have these keys, I will not, and then, okay, markdown. And then I upload the file and it comes here. Okay, warning. Yeah, okay, so it's here. Now I'm running this again. All right, it has unzipped. And it is, I did not refresh it, automatically it came here. So let's go quickly past this. I will install the dependencies. Okay, still it is installing the dependencies. Okay, so it has done. We will verify quickly. So folks, live demos are always, they carry some amount of risk. We all know that famously. So no matter how many times you've tried, things have a way of breaking, but this worked. I can tell you that. Okay, so all dependencies installed successfully. Now let's use this one, and I will try this carefully. Okay, and I will say grant access. Yes. Okay, good. So API key is set. Gemini, great. What would you like to go? Blah, blah, blah. Yes. Okay, we are past that hitch. Okay, now verify bundle assets. This, it is proper bundle contents verified. It has all the documents that you need and so on, right? Project map, and we all see that it is populated and it has the files here as well. So that was part of the yeah. So this was the RAG pipeline that we discussed last time. Okay, so this is ingestion pipeline, source documents. We fed it CSV, PDF, and this. If you want your own documents, potentially I would suggest that you try to remove it on your own even before putting it here. But even if you were to do it, this time it will try to scrub all the all the PII information. Okay. And so this was the ingestion pipeline, source, text extraction, section, aware chunker, Gemini embeddings, and Chroma DB. So this process happens. So things are, so whatever you give, not finance agent, finance docs, whatever you upload here on the left side gets, text extraction, chunker, and embeddings. All these things are created and put into this folder here. Chroma DB essentially. So you can see that process. I mean, there are a lot of AI steps that happen, but you're not going to be, unless you're a data scientist or you have interest in AI, probably you can know what is happening at best. Otherwise, obviously, this itself will require you 6 months to a year to understand how it happens. Now, retrieval is you fire a query, it goes to the embedding. This is where things happen. They bring out the chunks, and those chunks, even in raw form, you can lead. So they are nothing but, consider it as a document which has many paragraphs. So what it does is, at first it brings out all the paragraphs, relevant paragraphs from this document, that document, that document, and then LLM intelligently combines that actually. So top K chunks, citations, it gets not only the chunks, which is like a paragraph, it also takes out the information that which document it has come from, and then it gives it to the agent. Agent uses intelligence there actually to bring it or present it to you in a form that you can understand naturally. So there's a way in which you can actually see how it works there also. I'm not going to process this, but you can see it here that it is trying to look at all the files, and it is running something called PII scrub. If you run this is going to take about 3 to 4 minutes, okay, depending on the laptop speed. If laptop has, it's a window laptop, it's going to be much slower. If it's Mac, it's going to be faster, and it's going to take 4 to 5 minutes at least on my Mac. So PII scrub, it says no PII detected, 5 chunks embedded, and so on, right? So overall, and in the end, it gives you the summary. So do not run this cell unless you want to wait for some more time. Even if you run this again, this will nothing. It's going to just drop and rebuild. If you change any documentation, that is when it should run. So it has so many files in each of the folders, and you can see it. Portfolio, if I were to go, you will see 4 files, 1, 2, 3, 4. That is what is reflected here. Okay. And it has 120 chunks. And if you go to tax file, it should have 5 files. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay. So some PDF file, and then you have CSV file here, and has 69 chunks. Okay. Likewise, you will see other folders as well. So all these 21 files have been broken into a form which now and stored into ChromaDB in 338 vectors. Vectors are that which gives you relevant ability to find relevant chunks. So if you have large documentation in an organization, consider that that will translate into millions of chunks. And that is what, based on any query, you pick out that maybe handful of 100 chunks which are relevant for your query. That is how things are done. And guardrail demo, I'm not going, we went through it last time. So demos I'm going to skip, but these are already populated so you can see what they do actually. Okay, so in the interest of time, let's go down below, hands-on. So all these you have seen, it is grounded in live data. Let's check again. Yeah, so it has given this. And if you were to change this, for example, to let's say AAPL and run it again. So instead of FXIAX, I should see Apple. Yes. So you see Apple current price is this. This is the latest price. So all this is it is accessing a particular tool through RAG now. We'll try to run the same tool now through MCP essentially. So its query to real time is from finance agents tools get market trend actually. So if you see here, yeah. So if you see here, you have tools file. So in this file, you have this program get market trend, which is trying to access directly actually. So this agent is trying to access and will achieve the same thing through MCP server. So that's what it is going to do. Okay. Now every answer is audited. I'm not going to run it. Guardrails demo. So demos are already there. We ran it last time, and anyway you can run it again at your own time. And orchestrator has no tool on purpose. So we have given demo of hierarchy also last time. Hands-on modify an agent. So we created. So you can modify the agent. How do you modify an agent? So you always have the description. You can change description. So we have created in this, there is something called sandbox agent below. Okay. So in this sandbox, if you were to modify, it will not affect the others, but it will tell you how different definition changes the behavior of the agent and what you need to do here. So it is modify agent instruction, which is here. You are, yeah. So this is how agents are defined structurally. You are a concise market research agent. When asked about stock or company, you get stock price and so on and so forth. Keep answers to 3 to 4 sentences. That is how earlier question on agent to agent communication. This is where you would restrict it. Do only 3 communications with this agent and then stop and report the result to orchestrator or something like that will come here. So keep answers to 3 4 sentences. This is where you put a break. Otherwise, agents will not know. Agents are ultimately dumb, right? So they're not. You create intelligence in pieces, but by themselves they are not intelligent. You need to tell like a program, but it's just that they are natural language programs now. So so it does all that, right? So you can run a sandbox query based on the sandbox agent definition that you have. I will run this one just to show that you have chart which is demoed properly. You have portfolio allocation and so on, and these have real life application as well. Okay, so you have, this is how the agent hierarchy was there, and we are not running big demo here because that takes a little bit of time. You can do it. It ran, we ran it last time. Okay, so let's move forward. Launch the finance assistant. Right now we are skipping the ngrok part, but we will now launch, which was not available last time, was the finance agent chat UI on local server. Okay, so we will run it here and hopefully it obliges and gives us the local endpoint, which will run locally. Okay. So any question, Dhanshri?
We are collating all of them together.
Yeah,
for the
okay,
end.
okay. Yeah, so if you see here, last time we ran into trouble because ngrok itself, when so many people tried to access the server, they were not able to serve it. So probably not a very robust website. So we changed the configuration this time to a local host, which means it'll run locally on your machine. So if your machine is not too overloaded, it has some free bandwidth, very small, it will. If I click this link, localhost port 7861, it should open a new tab immediately, and it should tell you, although it is same as last time. I can change it later, but this is as of today. Okay, so now this is the chat agent which has been made available. On the right side, you have something called agent trace. This is a very important concept in UIs because it tells you how the agents are accessing one another. So I have very good local implementation of OpenClaw, which tells you actually that is when agent trace becomes useful. What are the servers it is accessing? What are the tools it is accessing, and so on. So very important part. So here, if you go now, you can access the questions that you have asked there. What is my total portfolio and how it is calculated across asset classes, right? So if you ask that question, it is now running locally with access of Gemini LLM. It has given you this, and yeah, so it is giving you in chart also. Okay, so last time chart capability was not there in the chat. This has been a new change actually. And as you can see, when you ask this question, this went to the Chroma DB. It did not go to your documents. It went to Chroma DB, and in Chroma DB now we have the facility where we have scrubbed all the PIIs, which means no PII information should be there in something that is going to be accessed by large language model, because potentially you are exposing that to outside world, and your security is compromised if you are not anonymized. So we have anonymized that as far as capability of this agentic AI framework is concerned. So here, if you see, if you click on these, essentially you will get all the detail which agent has been accessed. What for you asked a question on portfolio, so it went to portfolio analyst agent. Okay, and then transfer to agent, result was none, and then it searched documents, and then it went to holdings and so on and so forth. Document in the sense embedding, etc., right? So it is not the document per se. And then it went to generate chart, and generate chart is a separate capability, and it generated chart for you. It uses Plotly, which is Python library. So it went there. So let's go on. Okay, so this is now serving. Now we come to the server mini lab part. Okay, so obviously you're not going to see certain new output. What you're going to see is the configuration change and how MCP is going to serve the same information. So you have this is not a code actually, this is just the diagram that we have created. MCP acts as a standard tool boundary. So in this context, you can appreciate what it is trying to do. So for example, this is a notebook, but you could do it in your VS Code, in your desktop app, and agent runtime, whatever. They talk to the MCP client, which is now created. And what it does is it goes to, finance assistant MCP, and this is the server. So this is going to search financial docs, get market trend. So these are the two tools that we have incorporated in this particular example. And then it is going to
Kaushal, can I interrupt?
Yes,
I
please.
see a question here from Sudhir Shirsagar. Run local server has problems.
Okay.
This 7861-M-KKB is a long.
Okay.
No web page was found on the web address.
Okay, so what you have to do is in bottom you will see explain error. Okay, so you'll see explain error where if you explain, a new window will open, and Gemini, because you've created free Gemini account, it'll help you analyze that and correct also. So it'll say what is the error and so on. Although you should not have, because this thing runs perfectly in Google or Edge browser essentially. So there could be a browser issue or some other issue that I cannot debug right now, but feel free to click that button. It'll help you analyze, and that's a good way of knowing that the capability of Gemini also. It'll ask you to change the accept the changed code that it suggests. You say accept, and then it'll make the modification for you to run locally. Okay. And because this is a very random number, 7861, it's very unlikely that this port was used and is in use right now in your machine. So I don't see that as a problem. Okay. And so in the interest of time, I'll go ahead. So this is what private knowledge, live data, will. So this accesses this particular part, private knowledge, and then live data. Essentially, these two different tools access it. Now, imagine there were several agents trying to access these two particular thing, and the reason is why finance, Yahoo Finance, for example, live data is something that many agents could use potentially, right? So don't want. So earlier example, you saw that it was built in and inside the agent. Now it is built with MCP. So that's the big difference. Now, if there are several agents, instead of configuring in each agent separately, you will now actually look at it here. So if you want to see what all it contains, so I can probably have it here. This is the tool.py. This is, don't get scared. This is just the, tools.py part. So if you see, there should be, there should be a part, finance Google search tool. So this is run async, and this searches document, and that gets market trend, right? So this is the part that we evoked. Now, instead of having it in, now this is in tools, you could potentially use it in agents also. So here tools is basically connected with the MCP server. So that is the big difference that we are now fetch real-time stock price and so on. So you have put it here instead of in agents, basically. That's the big difference that you have, right? So let me go back. Okay. Now, direct function tools versus MCP. This is again a summary essentially. So you can have it in agent, fast local development, tight integration, simple demos. Trade-off tool is coupled to this Python app time runtime. MCP server, resource use across clients, governed access, team owned tools API, which is very important. So it requires a server boundary and tools schema discipline. So obviously you need to have more controls if you are installing MCP. That is the only additional step, I would say. That's not a disadvantage per se. Now we are creating tiny MCP server. Okay. So it's not a big deal. This is a very simple example. It has been created quickly. Inspect the tool contract. So it starts MCP server over std.io, and this is where yesterday at least I ran into problem, but today it will not because it is all working correctly. Search. So this is the tool that has been created. Search financial docs, and then you would have market trend also. Here, get market trend. So these are the two tools which have been created as part of this. So now when you run query, it goes through these tools through MCP server instead of directly from the agent, which is what is explained here. Okay, so RAG through MCP server, what happens on a tool call. So notebook client, whatever, this is the notebook client actually. The call tool basically, so it calls the tool, search financial document, and it goes to MCP server, validates arguments, access, etc., and what are the what is the query, and then it runs financial tool, and it searches through ChromaDB, and then gets the top chunks, gets the result, and gets the MCP response. So that's what. Now, so run a cited private document query through MCP. Okay. So this is now running the same query through this. So earlier query ran through agent. This is running through because financial tool is being accessed now by MCP server. So same query, same result, but now through MCP server. The difference is if you were to increase your number of agents to a very large number, we have not changed the number of agents in this example, but if you were to change, queries will now go through this similar agent. And if you were to upload or change the characteristic of this particular tool, they will be changed for all the agents at once. If you want to restrict control, have more security, it will be implemented for all the agents at once. So that's the beauty. And in authorization, etc., here you can potentially change the characteristic, how it is accessed, and so on. So you have a lot of flexibility with MCP server. That's the whole point. The point is not the same output. Output is same despite being centrally governed. That's the point here. And so you saw financial tool. Now we are invoking the through MCP. We are running, because the server is running, it is allowing you to access same result, right? Through market data for this particular script. You could change it to Google, Meta, whatever, and you will get the same result. Okay. Why participants should care? MCP is not just another way to call a function. This is very important. It changes the ownership model for tools. So production value is reuse, governance, auditability, replaceability, least privilege. Organizations care more about these actually than the ability to have the result in single use. And if you do not do this, results can, I mean, the expenses can multiply. I gave you the example, 5,000 agents accessing 8 tools, 40,000 different calls versus 5,000 into 8, just so many calls to those tools basically. Okay, so that's what it is. Now, just to summarize, MCP changes the ownership model for tools. Tool owner is this, MCP server is this. So it is approved tools, least privilege, and central team can manage all the approvals, configuration, and so on, versus being in federated model, it can go anywhere actually. So you can access through anything, and chat UI and ID assistant, future runtime, same contract, and so on. All right, so this, and you can go here. It will not show anything, any difference here, other than, you know, you have now new capabilities and it runs locally on the browser actually. So you'll not see any difference here, because even if you were to ask now with MCP server, it is going to give you the same query, same answer. That is the change actually. So, okay. So with that, I will stop sharing and answer any questions. We are on time. Yes, we are. Yes, okay.
Okay.
And if you want to, I think I'll remove the spotlight now. And if people want to come on camera and have a photograph taken, we can do that.
Yeah, that's a great idea.
Yes.
There are not many questions, so if you want, we can have people ask the question. Right?
Yeah. Please, yes.
Guys, please, everybody turn on your cameras.
How will you fit everyone, 31 people?
Yeah, so we'll have
I
two
have a
screens.
big screen.
Yeah.
Thank you, Kaushal. I mean, there is a lot for us to ruminate through it. The notebook is at least working this time.
Yes. Okay. Finally, I'm glad, Roop. Otherwise, we needed to have one-on-one session. So, yeah.
Okay. Seems like a small group of people. I'll just take
Yeah.
a picture. Okay.
Do others want to come on camera, or there's a weekend morning and people are just waking up? Okay. At least today I had to wake up early enough not to be here.
Okay. So
Okay. All right.
3,
Yeah.
2,
Yes.
1. Smile. Okay, good. We have the photo.
Yeah. And next screen, maybe? Yeah, same, I think.
Yeah, it's the same screen,
Same screen.
actually.
Yes. Okay, good. So of course, our objective is to, so none of these is, very complicated topic, frankly. But if you were to stitch this knowledge together through YouTube video and so many other things, you'll not get the holistic view. Okay. And pretty much I use AI in developing this content, but you first need to know what you're trying to develop and how you want to present logically in simple steps, etc. So once you have the idea, then AI is useful. That is in general the rule all across. Okay, so that's how you use AI intelligently. All the notebooks, etc., were developed using AI, but you first need to know what you're trying to develop. For example, when I gave it the task of I need simple diagrams, I need these concepts explained, I need this is the flow, and so on. That is when it explained. Otherwise, there's nothing that, but my effort went into generating that content, making sure, it's that is the human intelligence, my ability to perceive what is going to be needed, that environmental understanding based on the context of so many people attending. Likely, this is going to be the level of knowledge. This is how they will grasp the concept. This is what I've done in past. AI will not be able to do unless you tell it to. So that's a big difference on AI itself. Okay. AI and humans. Any other question, open question, you can
I think Dr.
unmute.
Sudhir has his.
Yes. Yeah. Dr. Sudhir, yes, please.
Oh, sorry, I use the doctor. I'm sure there are plenty of doctors around, and as we can say, I'm not the real doctor. My son is a real doctor. I'm just a PhD.
That is not just a PhD, that is a PhD. So, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, Illinois, Urbana-Champaign, but still a PhD. So it was wonderful. And then in terms of IIT, SoCal is really taking the lead. There is another group I belong to, that's Maryland area. So a lot of the IIT groups are starting things. That's more WhatsApp group that has a conversation. I was there at IIT 2026, and so SoCal. I mean, I should probably say Bay Area leads in all the work, but now I'm starting to see SoCal is so that's a plus. Hands-on thumbs up to you guys. That's really anything can even spread. And as the YouTube gets shared across the other sections, I think you'll get a lot more hits on the YouTube and the files and making that available is going to more work for you. So first, great congratulations and compliments for the work you're doing. I understand this was like a opening session, and I think you did get people on board and made them aware of some of the difficulties. As you build the next session and eventually where you want to go to, I had some comments and thoughts. So I deal in a couple different domains, and we also play with Microsoft and we also play with Google, and then also go explore Snowflake and things like that. So the biggest challenge in some sense is when you're enterprising for enterprise. The enterprise's preference will be like Microsoft, and then but certain tools are available better shape in one platform or the other. So we're trying to get a sense for as you're trying to create an enterprise level orchestration of the different things. How do you best package certain things to do that? And another area that we're exploring recently is the delivery of the output from the agents into a React front end, because we use React as a standard front end that's across the world. So the AGUI UI protocol, the Copilot kit, I mean, it gets very messy. You have like 6 tools that you're trying to orchestrate, and some of them have an MCP inspector. And so I try to get a sense of how do you, from where you're sitting, how do you see the market evolving? And when you go to a customer, how do you pitch to them saying they should really go after this versus somebody else just selling blind without knowing the nuances that you know?
Yeah. So see, there are a couple of aspects. One aspect is that, you have a SaaS product in which the choice of tooling is yours. Okay. But the other is enterprise. When you go to enterprises, they have pretty much fixed on the tooling that they already have, right? So either they have decided on GCP or React or, this and that, right? So we have to work with, and frankly, we have not seen too much challenges on that front on the choice of tooling, as long as you have architecture driven approach, which means you first look at what architecture do they have, what are the data sources, where are they, and then you start building basic elements of pretty much same, RAG pipelines, MCP servers. Once you have those, then the tooling actually is a very small part that we have in our experience found, so it will, yes, it will need configuration. It's not going to be readily deployable. Even we as a company, try to bring in accelerators, and Piyush here actually has implemented some of those things live, right, Piyush? So you can tell, what is the relative importance of frameworks versus tooling per se, or environments per se.
Yes. So as Ken said, like frameworks, there are multiple frameworks available in the market right now, and each framework has different way of performing the same actions. But what we have seen is like Google ADK, as for example, has much more reasoning and like handling the like complex tasks it handles. Like there's True AI, which is easier for setting up, like for um standalone or like capstone projects or like personal projects. So it's like that. And even for tools right now, like industries are now transitioning out from how they used to traditionally build tools and into MCP servers, because as Ken earlier mentioned, like now, if not by like end of this year, maybe by next year, organizations will have like thousands of agents. And if they have a database or some data source where someone creates a connector, everyone should be able to like use it from there, instead of everyone having to like create the connector to that specific data source multiple over and over again.
Yeah. Okay. So yeah, and obviously, we do this thing professionally as well. If there is any professional opportunity, you can reach out one-on-one. If you have simple questions, obviously we can answer. But it cannot be too complex. Then you need commercial kind of engagement. If it is enterprise grade, then you need that what enterprise power, to solve those challenges. Any other comment, question?
I think there was a question from Sulekha which was not covered. So she asked, how are you guaranteeing the deterministic nature of the MCP?
Yeah, so MCP it's just like a server, okay? So it is routing things, okay, and centrally allowing you to manage. So it is pretty deterministic in the sense, as long as agents request, obviously, that is where things start to get a little fuzzy, because this is all natural language. Things can go wrong, but you need to test it properly. You need to make sure, different ways of calling from an agent, is resulting into the outputs that you want and you expect, actually. So agents, you put in agents essentially, and there is a router thing also, right? So you can have a router which can have all the keywords that you're likely to have, where it chooses to route to particular thing. So whatever MCP client gets as a call from agent is what gets delivered eventually and get routed to. So if MCP client is getting the right kind of call, it will serve you depending on your authorization. For example, let's say if you're not in HR, and if you're trying to access your CEO's salary, right, you do not have access to it. MCP client ideally should refuse it, even though it has access to that tool. So it has all those mechanisms if your question is in that regard. But if your question is on agents designs themselves, then you need to test it. You need to make sure they're making the right kind of calls with the right keywords. It's not a keyword base, it's a semantic search, so it is a lot more intelligent. But if something is being missed, then you check back your configuration. And so that is what happens in AI testing phase. You leave it out and you see where people are facing difficulties. I tried to do this, but still I did not get the correct response. You investigate, and the experience is 90-95% times, you'll see the things happen very well. Maybe some rephrasing of the agents will help you get to the right tool in that case. So from MCP onwards, things are very deterministic. Things could get hazy in terms of agentic call or LLM calls or LLM outputs. Okay. Any other question?
And just to add on top of that, like MCP, like the deterministic approach that you want, or like how we guarantee, or like how we make sure it's the agent doesn't stray away and like make random tool calls. What you do is like you isolate some data sources and some tools within like different MCP servers. So for example, finance, usually like for finance data, you have like one MCP server. For payments data, you have like one. For HR data, like where sensitive and confidential data is, like you have different MCP servers, and that's how you control like, okay, which data you want your agent to actually access.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, that's another thing, in the enterprise where we have done implementations, they are probably dealing with what? Dozen MCP servers? Yeah.
Yeah,
So that's also
45 for
another thing.
49.
Yeah. So a lot of MCP
Yeah.
servers through Glean and Attentional and whatnot, right?
Yeah.
So that's all. But the core concept is the same. Core concept is the same. No matter how many MCP servers you have, they all are routing agents, consolidation of tools, making them secure, easy to manage centrally. So those are the key takeaways that you should have. All right, team, I need to run, unfortunately. But if you have questions, feel free to keep asking. I believe there is a WhatsApp channel also now, so conversations can go on. And as always, thanks for participating. It encourages us to do more. Like I said, we are all volunteers, and if you have any choice of topics you would like to see covered, we can cover those depending on larger interest. And feel free to give your feedback too, right? So, yes.
I think
Right. And in
Kaushal,
the after third call, you're going to have finance agent. Right now, you already have very strong agent. If you give it PII scrub documents, it's going to give you real deal out of that. And in the end, we are trying to build more capabilities of having full financial consult with the help of a hedge fund financial advisor, actually, and a person who is a real-time trader at a very large bank, actually. So you'll have some of those capabilities also coming up soon. Sure, getting a lot of value out of these sessions. Okay.
I
Thank
think
you.
Kaushal covered everything. So thank you, Kaushal and Piyush. I see, a lot of effort that happens on the back end to actually create each and every session. So thank you so much for doing this for IIT SoCal community. And thank you everybody who has joined us today, asked thoughtful questions and spent a part of your weekend to trying to learn something new. And I think we encourage everybody to stay connected, like Kaushal mentioned. And if you have any question, feel free to reach out to us. And thank you for being here and have a wonderful weekend. We'll share the recording and the files over the email.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
Thank you,
Thanks,
everyone.
volunteers, especially. Thank you. Bye.
Thank you. Yeah.